I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Chris Buckman.
Here.
Carol Hadorn.
Here.
Larry Megan.
Here.
Jason Newberry.
Here.
Deanna Garber. Here. Tom Henning.
Here.
Pat Zinga.
Here. I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
Move to adopt the agenda for the second.
Moved and seconded to adopt the agenda. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Do you have any patrons that are going to share?
Nope, not this evening.
Dr. Hood, I think
Yes,
you're up.
yeah, thank you, Dr. Hood, for hosting us tonight, and appreciate that very much. We have, Mr. Farley will not be here this evening. Ms. Goodrum will be late. She's got Child Point basketball, so she should be sneaking in a little bit later. Dr. Hood, it is all yours to get us started.
Thank you, sir. Good evening. Oh, we gotta get more excited than that, board. Good evening. We're getting something out of this. So, first off, I just want to say thank you again to Mr. Hatfield, Board of Education, for allowing us to host you all tonight here. And I've got some special guests that I wanted to introduce. First off, Julia Starnes. We are so thankful and blessed here at Wellington High School to have a Questbridge Scholar here at Wellington High School. So Ms. Julia Starnes, senior here at Wellington, I'm going to kind of give it to you real quick, and you're just going to go ahead and explain what the Questbridge Scholarship is going to do for you here in the future.
All right. Hi, my name is Julia Starnes, and I'm a senior here at Wellington High School. And I've recently been awarded a full ride scholarship to Washington University in St. Louis through the Questbridge National College Match. Questbridge is a program, it's a college prep program that seeks to connect high-achieving, low-income students with the top colleges in the nation. So I found about Questbridge around the end of my junior year, and I applied to be part of their college prep program, which is a program that gives you access to resources about how to apply to colleges, and it kind of just gets you kick-started in that college search process, which, let me tell you, it can be a little intimidating sometimes. So I started that my junior year, and then starting over the summer, they released the application for the National College Match. The National College Match is their scholarship program. It is highly, highly competitive, and I am still like in shock from winning it, well, not winning it, but being awarded as part of that. You have to apply, and it's a very in-depth application with, many letters of reference, and you have to have, the top. You will be notified as a finalist if you get that far, and I was so excited. And then you get to look at their 42 partner schools, which are like some of the top schools in the nation: Princeton, Duke, Stanford, and many, many others. And you pick schools from that list that they've partnered with, and you rank your top picks. And then as you move through the application process, you will have your application sent to those schools, and the top school on your list that wants to accept you into their school with a full ride scholarship said yes. And so my second pick school, which was Washington University, said yes for me, and I am so excited to go there. And I just wanted to thank you all for making education possible here in Wellington. So thank you.
Any members of the board have any follow-up questions for Julia?
Well, I know it's a beautiful campus. It's a wonderful school. I've known several of our students who have gone there, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Let's give one more hand for Julia. Thank you very much. And not only is Julia a rock star in the classroom, she is also getting ready to perform in our band concert here very shortly. So break a leg, okay? Next is we are very fortunate as well too to have another esteemed guest here from the high school, Peyton Ginner. So we have not had a chance to recognize Peyton yet, but Peyton is the Class 4A individual girls state golf champion this year. She did that in Emporia about a month and a half, 2 months ago. I was out for a month, so I'm sorry. Okay, so, but no, absolutely excited. I'm gonna turn over to Peyton real quick and explain just how amazing that is. She is our first individual state golf champion on the girls' side in school history. So Peyton, I'm gonna turn it over to you.
It's just it was a really cool experience for me, just to have my dad as my coach, and he's been with me the past 4 years, and I went through middle school golf, so the golf programs here at, in Wellington have been greatly, helpful. And it was just a really cool feeling just to experience that with my dad and everyone who stuck with me, and just all the support from the community was really great, and it was just a really cool experience.
And Peyton is committed to Dodge City Community College, which she'll be signing her shortly. When do you plan on signing again?
Probably after Christmas break, because I've been busy, so I don't have the chance, but I've already actually digitally signed, so I'm already with Dodge, but.
Does any members of the board have any questions for Peyton?
Yes.
Peyton, I remember when you were the only person on the golf team, isn't that right?
Yes, that is happening, yes. I'm just really glad I stuck with it.
Well, now there's more, how many girls we have out this year?
Yes, so we had, I think it was 8, but the program has grown so much. We only started out with about 4 people, and then it was 2 people, and then it was a few more, and then now we have about 8, so that was super cool to see it grow. And I think we have a lot more incoming 8th graders too, so there should be a lot more incoming.
That's good.
And we actually have a girls coach, is that right?
What?
We actually have a girls coach?
Yes.
Right there.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's my dad.
Mr. Ginter.
Don't we have a girls coach too? No?
The girls and the guys coach is the same.
Okay, I thought we actually had a woman coach.
Oh, yes, Vanessa Sawyer.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's trying to share that, Vanessa, yeah.
Thank you once again, Peyton. Let's give her another round of applause. And now to put the board kind of in a festive mood, if you will, I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer Ault, our choir director here for middle school and high school. We have some fun songs that our choir is going to sing for you this evening.
I'll clap before.
I want to thank Dr. Hood again for the invitation. We are in prep for our Crusader Christmas, which is this Thursday, December 17th at 7 p.m. It is a combined middle school and high school choir concert, and it's going to have all of the work. So entrances and exits, you've got some tunes that you may or may not know. These kids are going to have to learn how to do costume changes really fast, but these kids are going to be great. I chose one of my favorite songs, Selfishly, to perform for you. And they are going to perform That's Christmas to Me by Pentatonics without my help. So enjoy.
Christmas can bring. Oh, why? 'Cause that's Christmas to me.
Thank you once again to the WHS Choir, and once again, Thursday night is their choir concert that you can watch virtually as well too. So thank you once again, and Breaker Lake Thursday night.
Thank you.
So now I get to follow all that, which is gonna be tough in itself. First, mom, dad, hello. I guess they're watching from home in Iowa. At least they told me they would, so hello. I know my kiddos are up right now, so go to bed. Other than that, since taking the job here at WHS, there's been really two questions that people ask me. Is why would you take a job in the middle of the pandemic, and are kids really as bad as everybody thinks they are? And I have to sit there and I'm reminding myself once again, okay, by listening to the choir, by listening to Peyton, by listening to Julia, we're in really good hands in our future. And I share that, especially here in Wellington and Sumner County. I mean, if I'm a child right now at Eisenhower, Lincoln, Kennedy, Washington, and I'm seeing these wonderful kids here sing, I'm hearing the stories of Peyton, I'm hearing the stories of Julia, there's something they can strive for and look forward to. Becoming the next state champion, becoming the next Questbridge Scholar. There's so much that our kids at WHS are able to do for the future generations here in Wellington, and I'm so thankful for that. And then I'm always asked all the time about, well, our kids, what are they like nowadays? And I go back to the book by Angela Duckworth called Grit. If you've never read the book, it's a wonderful book. Angela Duckworth is an educator at the University of Penn. It's a wonderful book, and what the book really details is this idea of grit. This idea of picking yourself up by your bootstraps every day. And I think to myself, in the middle of a pandemic, with everything else that's going on around our kids, what better display of grit than that right there? They're able to achieve in the classroom, able to achieve on the golf course, able to practice somewhat half day and then all put it all together in that wonderful voice you hear right there. That right there is the idea of grit, and I'm so excited about just the grittiness of our students in general. Right now, we currently sit at 94.7% attendance rate in a pandemic. That's not bad at all. I'll take it right now. I'm so thankful for the teachers, the staff, and administration at Wellington High School that do a great job every day of opening the doors and opening their hearts to allow for kids a chance to learn. That doesn't happen everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so thankful every day to work with these people to make sure that our kids have a place to come to. And we understand that it's not the easiest of times right now in education. But I will tell you this, is that our staff, our faculty, they do an amazing job of making sure that we are a welcoming place every day. So bottom of my heart, for those listening, I cannot thank you enough and for making this first semester of mine as good as it can be, in all honesty. And then I think about the greatness of our student athletes, being able to achieve their dreams, such as Peyton, Kenny Furman, who's going to sign with Mount Marty on Friday, a full academic and athletic scholarship to go play football. Grittiness. I go back to that, and I also think about too is that you think about. I go back to Julia. You're getting an opportunity to live your dream of becoming a college graduate and doing whatever it is she's going to do afterwards. I'm really nice to our students here. For those of you who ever see me on a daily basis, because a lot of them are probably sending my paychecks one of these days, and I mean that because you see them, the way they interact. Those are our future leaders here in this community. Those are our future leaders of the state, this country. So I'm obviously very nice to them because there's probably a chance that they're going to probably be making sure that I'm taking care of and helping pay my mortgage someday. Okay. I go also to the greatness of what we're doing outside the classroom. Our girls basketball team's a top 10 ranked team in the state. Our boys basketball team's getting better every day. Our wrestlers had a very good tournament and turnout on Saturday. And then I think about the fact that Jennifer Alt, our choir director, and Mr. Hiskin, our band director, are being able to perform band and choir concerts. For those of you that didn't see the radio broadcast of It's a Wonderful Life, we're able to do those things even in the midst of everything that's going on. And then I think about not only just the stories that you're seeing on the court or via live stream, I'm thinking about our students, such as 2 new students that come from a different state that have come here to Wellington. They show up every day, they moved in with a family that they don't really even know, living with 2 other families, but they show up every day and they're passing all their classes. Or I think to myself of a couple of seniors that don't realize that maybe all the opportunities might be out there based on GPA and ACT, and I think about staff such as Carmen Hatfield and Sammy Brown helping them navigate these waters academically and with their college application process. That's grit. And every day we are showing that at WHS. And I know, once again, who knows what this world's gonna look like here in a month, a week, a couple days from now. But I can put my head on my pillow every night knowing that our students are ready for whatever comes at them. Because of what our teachers, because of what our faculty, because of what our staff and our administration are doing every day to prepare them for what's going on. It's that grit that I'm so thankful and appreciative of. And I appreciate the Board of Education for allowing us to help instill in them that grit. So those are some of the things we have going on at WHS. I want to thank the Board of Education for a very fun first semester in a lot of ways. Some of you guys may think I need my head examined for using the word fun, but it really has been. You as a board, as an administrative staff at central office have really wrapped your arms around me, and I appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. So I'll turn over to the board for any questions at this time. And that's okay too. Well, I'm gonna turn it back over to Mr. Hatfield. I wish you all a very safe, happy holiday season and cannot wait to see you all back in 2021. And I'm so excited about being able to turn that calendar over here shortly. So,
Thank you.
thanks, sir.
Yep, thank you, Dr. I
Thanks,
appreciate it.
We had Brett Miller present to us last month, and we're gonna have some discussion over, it was the facilities plan.
Yes, Brett Miller was here from DCS Services last month, and Mr. Adams has been working with him on a possible idea for a facility plan. Have two things to pass around to you this evening. Last month, we sent around an assessment that was partly done. This is an assessment that was done for Humboldt School District that is entirely done. When you get towards the back, you'll see that there is the 20-year projected plan for their facilities and the different things involved. So I want to pass that around for you to look at. Also had a former administrator, Brad Ray, who used to be our junior high principal years and years ago. Stopped by. He is currently working for a company called Energy Solutions Professionals. They are a company that specifically, basically try to work with school districts to cut energy costs, and then you put those energy costs back into your facilities. And so that's a little different approach than what we heard from DCS. I know we've heard from companies like Brad's before, and so just wanted to pass his stuff around. And just wanted to get some discussion. Brett had said last month that he was, that their company was a $7,500 project fee to get what you see there for Humboldt. And at the end of that, we would have that to look at each year and update as needed. And then we would either continue any projects with DCS that we were interested in, or we would be done at that time and would have the information to move forward through on our own. And so just wanted to bring up that discussion to the board and see if that was something that the board's interested in. Kelly, I didn't know if you had anything to add to that, but it's kind of, that summed up in a nutshell.
Summed it up, and
Yeah.
you guys heard, two presentations the last two board meetings, so that's pretty much it. And just here to answer any questions. Yeah.
The one question I had, I think we asked it and really never got directly answered. How long has this company been in business? Do you
I
know?
believe was it 10 years, Mr. Hatfield?
That sounds right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I believe it was 10 years.
We can get that for you though.
Yeah.
We do have some good word of mouth from other superintendents about that company, that they've had good success with them, so that's kind of your best telling, for sure.
Didn't he mention that he's gonna be retiring soon?
He did, yes. So
Like,
the company's not retiring,
A year?
yeah, the company's not retiring, but he would be retiring soon is what he said, yes. That is correct.
Is there any way we can get this Brad Root on our January meeting, just so I can?
To speak?
Yeah.
Sure, yep.
Okay.
That was it.
I would like just to hear, since I wasn't on the board before,
Yep.
I'd like to at least listen to his presentation.
Sure, yep. we can get Brad in here. He said when he met with us, he said he'd be more than willing to do that, so we can do that. That would give the board because you're right, some of those presentations are before you guys came on, some of you.
So how long ago was that? I remember the whole thing probably because I was teaching, but how long ago was it we had a company?
It was probably, I wanna say 4 years ago.
Is that recent?
Somewhere in there, yep. We had a company come in and, they were actually, at that time, it does not sound like how Brad's is. Brad seems much more,
Did we have one before that? Anybody?
I don't know, I wouldn't have been here,
Oh.
or down here anyway before that.
If we had someone before that, it was before time. Yeah, I mean, it was way back.
Are you talking about BCS?
BCS was, we ended with them a few years ago. I don't know how they originally sold their project. I know
It was
that-
kind of the same pitch,
Yeah.
that they were gonna reduce our utility costs.
Yeah, similar to the energy cost part of it, yeah. Really what we're interested in as far as, our side, from the administration standpoint, is we want, a plan on mechanical, plumbing, electrical, roofs, masonry, all the things that are the physical parts of the building along with, and if, energy cost stuff is thrown in there, that's great, but that's kind of what our main needs are, is the expertise on how long we have to budget out for some of those big costs that may come our way in the future. Obviously, we had the masonry issue here at the high school that we just had done. We just had some plumbing done at central office, and because we had leaks, and there's a potential that some of that stuff could have been, found out, and we could have budgeted for it a little bit ahead of time. So that's kind of the thought process. But yes, I could absolutely have Brad come talk to you. He'd be more than happy to do that. Any other?
There was some talk, I think Jason mentioned it last time, about the company that came in acting like they were going to do mechanical.
Yep.
Did you let them complete any of they
Yes.
kinda- so they did do an energy study already?
Yes, and when they presented, it was energy. The problem was when they originally presented
Yep.
themselves, they presented themselves more
Yep.
with functional things.
And how long ago was that?
I want to say 4 or 5 years ago,
Okay.
something like that, yeah. That was the problem, is the board didn't feel like they got what they had originally asked for, so.
Right.
Whereas here we have an example,
Yep.
more example of what it has.
Yeah.
And then I think the company that Brad works for seems very legitimate, but they say from the beginning, their focus is energy based, so.
I think what I was thinking about was when Kennedy and Eisenhower and everybody got their own thermostats in their room, and put the air conditioning through, when we put up walls in those two buildings, I think shortly after that, we had a company come in and do something similar, and it wasn't successful either.
It
Remember that at all?
Yeah, I think that was part of DCS's.
That's when we put the walls up at Kennedy and Eisenhower.
Yeah.
That's how long ago it was.
So completely unrelated to what we're talking about now, do we still have the results of that energy study by chance, or?
I can look.
Would it just, because it wasn't really what you were looking for, did it kind of get just?
Yep.
switched?
Yeah, I can look for that, absolutely. You make a note of that, please, Sean. Thank you.
So do we need to go back and decide what we want to do with Mr. Avery? No, I'm on the wrong one. Brett Miller?
We can, if the board would like to hear from Brad Ray, so you can hear a different opinion, then we can continue to talk about this until everybody feels comfortable.
Okay, but they are two different things.
Yes.
Okay.
So even if they're two different things, we can probably go ahead and talk about, I mean, are you guys comfortable with?
The 7,500?
Yeah.
Yeah, I am. I think we need that
But
for
that's,
sure.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. I mean, it's two different things, so we could,
It's two different things.
if we're interested in this, we could go ahead and.
I'm not comfortable, because when I asked him questions at the last meeting, he had really a difficult time answering my questions, so I'm not comfortable yet. I'd like to go through this and research it a little bit more, see exactly how he did with Humboldt.
Okay, that sounds great. I didn't have time to look either, so. we'll just wait on that until after we see Brad.
Keep that, is that in your office, or, I'd like to look at it too, just,
Yeah, Mr. Hatchover or myself will have it
okay.
available for you.
Yeah, that copy will be at central office and we can check it out to you guys for a little while, or to take home, or you can come in and look at it, or however you're comfortable. Be happy to do that. Okay, so I will, invite, Mr. Ray to come speak to you, next month and, give just a little more information. Okay?
Mr. Avery was talking about the financial.
Yes, so we've had 2 meetings with Mr. Avey. One, he had met individually with Wendy and I and a couple of board members. And then, obviously, he came and talked to the entire board last month. He has a really good reputation amongst other superintendents and has really worked with quite a few districts across the state now. And so one thing that we really like about him is when we sit down and talk to him compared to some of the other financial people we've talked to, he really takes a very bird's eye view, whole look at everything. Whereas, you know, a lot of times you will hear from people and they're very focused on selling you bond refinancing, and that's all they're focused on, or they're focused on, you know, more minute things that are immediate things, and this is much more of a overlook at district budgets and bonds and on and on. So there's really no action necessarily for the board to take. It's just a matter of whether the board is interested in when we have financial things that come up in the future, to contact Mr. Avey and work with him on things. And then we would, if that's the case, then we would obviously, if there's any projects that go through Piper Sandler in the future, we would bring those to you as something to vote on at that time.
So in the short term, his analysis of the 2011 bond issue would save us some pretty significant money there.
Yep.
So I would like to get going on that. I see, is that what the schedule is that starts in March?
Yes, yeah, I believe so.
Okay, we need to decide then.
Yeah, we could get him in, I mean, basically we want to get advice from him as to what he sees the forecast and the best time to do that. I know the board went through this process just not too long ago, and then it immediately fell apart with Corona right after it happened, so.
And he had mentioned some bond refinance in our first meeting. Is that still an option, or?
I think so, yeah, I think so. And I think he had even mentioned at the time, possibly even the beginning of next year.
Yeah, I think so.
Being a key time potentially for that.
So he's just waiting for us, or for the administration to
Yep.
contact him? And
Yep.
We don't have to make a decision, or?
No,
Okay.
it's just a matter of the board. I want to make sure the board's comfortable with us. That's not traditionally who we've gone through, and so I just want to make sure the board's comfortable.
Who has one?
But usually the Sjogren's is usually who the district uses.
So are we moving away from that?
Uh,
Is that what this is about?
Yeah, basically, I think this would give us a little bigger financial picture than what we've got in the past. So.
And we don't have to, do you have to break ties with children or let them know that we won't be using them in the future?
No, it's just it's a totally separate thing, so each time, the board can use whoever they want. I just want to make sure the board's comfortable with them, so. There's no contracts or anything like that.
Is it still an option to pay down that one bond?
Yeah, what I would like to do now is get Dustin back in here
Yeah.
to get specific with you.
Yeah.
So that's something that we can do
Yeah.
next month. Especially be January, to be the turnaround of the year, and he can come in and actually give the board specifics. He did give specifics to our individual board members the one time we met. He was much more general this last time, just interested in working with us. So I can bring him in next month to give specifics if he's available.
Okay, next month will be, new committees and
Yes.
officers.
I just wanted to remind the board that next month, you'll be voting on president, vice president, like you do every year. And we also have our committees, and we have those picked out. Let me read them off real quick, and then I want to know if the board sees anything differently from what our thoughts were. First one is virtual learning. Obviously, we have, last year we had a technology committee, and we would kind of like to blend technology and with all the remote capabilities and everything that we are currently serving. We would like to kind of move that into kind of a virtual learning type committee that looks at both technology and learning at the same time. We were thinking 2 board members for that. 2 board members to be on the facilities committee to make decisions as we work through some of these things that we continue to do every month. We now obviously have the masonry project behind us, and so any future decisions on facility stuff would be nice to have board representation on that. Negotiations, I know Jason and Deanna got their feet wet with negotiations this year, and so two usual board members for that. We have the policy committee, Chris and Carol this year, and we'd like to continue keeping that going. We'll have policy coming out this month from KSB to continue to update the book that you just approved. Always need 1 board member on the wellness committee for food service, and then this year is our we'll be working towards a new food service contract. Our contract with OPA ends this year, and so thinking 1 board member for to be a part of that food service putting that food service contract and getting bids and all that stuff. That will start as soon as we turn around the new year as well, once the state releases their information. So any other committees that you think we need board representation on, or a committee that besides those? That was kind of our 2021 thoughts.
I guess we'll continue with our medical advisory committee, which is not a board committee.
Right, yeah.
Appreciate their efforts.
Yeah, they've been great. Yeah, and I would really like to continue that, get local medical advice. Any other board-related committees that you would like to vote on next month? Okay, so next month we will have a vote for president, a vote for vice president, and then we will have a vote for those committee spots. If you think of anything between now and then, you're welcome to call me and we could have a discussion on that. I do want to remind the board that these specific topics are ones that you will not get a recommendation from the superintendent or his staff as far as president, vice president committees, all that stuff. That's very much a board discussion and not something that it's probably appropriate for us to get involved in. That's at the board level, and so just want to make sure you are prepared to not get a recommendation for that.
So how do we talk about, I mean, like, next month, do we just nominate whoever we want for president or vice president?
Yeah, it's not.
We don't discuss it beforehand, or?
Well, no, you can't as a group, obviously.
Yeah, I just didn't know how, because like last year, we came in January, and we just kind of got hit with it, and I didn't know if there was a discussion in December that we missed, or?
No.
So.
No, there wasn't. The problem was I think last year, I ended up apologizing because I didn't give you enough of a heads up like I'm giving you right now that I won't be giving a recommendation.
Because we can't really talk about it outside of the boardroom.
Yes.
So.
It's not a easy situation.
It's just kind of strange, because I'm like, I don't know can we talk about this? I mean, do you want to be president again next year? Or, I mean, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, it's up for discussion right now, so you guys.
I mean, I just don't want to be sitting here next month looking like we did last year, with crickets and stuff.
And reason for I've told you guys from the beginning, and as far as honesty and transparency, it's just really important for the health of the district that we stay out of this.
I completely understand, but I just
But as far as
we can't talk
as far as
about this
discussing,
outside.
yeah, as far as discussing, you guys discuss away now, next week.
Oh, so you would like to, okay. And I did contact the KASB today, and we are allowed to vote for ourselves if we're nominated. I know last year that was kind of a question, and I just wanted to, they said in general election, you can vote for yourself, so we can vote for ourselves if we're nominated.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, good,
just
thanks
to
for
let
doing
that
that.
know.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you. Did you call me, Sid? I got,
Yes, I called this morning.
okay. Facility rental?
Yep.
You know about that?
Good.
Yeah.
Unless anybody has anything else on that?
No. Anybody else on, officers?
Okay.
Okay, move on to facility rental.
Yes, this is, so for, facility rental, you have, two emails that have been sent to you. One from, Colby Zika, came in today that I sent you, and one for Shawnee Armour, Colby interested in using our facilities for MAYB, and, Shawnee Armour for club volleyball. And so, pass those on to you and, have this in discussion because it's the first time you're hearing about it in a board meeting, which we typically try to do, but it's also a, obviously those teams would like to move on with their seasons and stuff, so that's up for board discussion tonight.
Both of them are pretty similar to the youth wrestling
Yes,
that we discussed last month.
correct.
Except on the Colby's, he wants to use every gym, all 4 school gymnasiums, plus he wants us to vote on the MAYB tournament in February. So there's a little difference. Instead of having 1 facility, we're looking at opening up 4.
Oh, for the 4 gyms for the MAYB tournament.
And then he wants us to vote for the whole MAYB tournament, which I don't know how many teams that would consist of on February 20th.
That's a big deal. They have a lot of teams.
Yeah, so it's not similar to the youth wrestling. I guess my question is what's the reason to have all 4 gymnasiums?
Well, I would assume that's for the tournament.
Well, it says here, I'm writing to request access to any of the 4 school gymnasiums for the use of 6th grade basketball. I've used them for over 15 years with no issues. So I'm just wondering, can we limit it to 1?
I think he's saying any of them.
Any of them, I took that to mean he wouldn't use all 4 of them at the
He just
same
wants to
time,
use
except
one.
the tournament he would.
The
but-
tournament, yes. So, yeah, it looks like use of the 4 gyms for the tournament and then,
And the way I'm understanding too, there's a chance the tournament may not happen, but in case the conditions allow.
we're better.
Then I don't think we need to vote on it right today. Since it's not until February and we can see what COVID.
When is he wanting to start practice though?
I would guess pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Same with Sean.
Would he be, I'm assuming they're gonna be following the guidelines that they need to follow.
Yeah, we would ask them to follow the same guidelines as we did with youth wrestling, cleaning afterwards and all those things.
Okay.
So
And it would it be the 2-person rule or, I'm sorry, Jason.
No, go ahead, sorry.
Would it be like the Keisha rules where the 2 parents and that's it, or
for the tournament?
for anything? I mean, as long as we're not having like a whole bunch of people in there that don't need to be.
Well, for practices, you probably wouldn't have to worry about it too much, but, we would still have to stick to those things, yes. The rec center, worked with the rec center on their games and they are limiting to 2 people for their games this year, so. And they're not under Keisha, but they're still willing to do that, to limit it to 2 people, so. The only difference between Keisha and with the rec center, because they're not under Keisha, they're just limited to 2 people and not the actual guardians or whatever. It's just, they're just doing 2 people per participant.
Are we gonna have our custodian go in there afterwards?
Yes, our custodians would be part of the cleaning process, but we would also have some expectations of them to help clean as well. So they would work together. Luke would work with our custodians and the teams to make sure everything's done properly.
Are we gonna charge them for the rental or just the cost of the custodian?
That is up to the board. I don't know that he's requesting free. But typically, it would go through the rental process that everybody goes through.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which I think, and then we pile on the custodian charge too, don't we?
If,
top of that.
if it's needed for the, for the.
Okay.
For the
Well, what are we doing for the wrestling?
I don't know that we discussed custodians. I would have to get with Luke and find out what he ended up doing with, to make all that
What,
happen.
you mean wrestling just gets to come in, so they're not
They're
charged?
not charged.
I believe that you guys made, I believe the board said no charge
Yeah, I
last.
don't think-
Well, I'm just saying we set a precedent.
Right, right.
Yeah,
I think they just want a place to practice.
Yep. Yeah, I believe the board said,
Well,
no
yeah.
charge on that last month. And the board also made the decision on, it was no tournaments, just practice, I believe. That's what the board's decision was last month. As far as youth wrestling anyway.
Do we know when these practices are gonna be? I mean, the
It
whole
says-
idea of our schedule is, the Wednesday kind of off day to kind of come in, deep clean and do all that stuff.
Yep.
I mean, I know we've had students wanting to get back in the facility on Wednesday, and they've been told no
Right.
for school-related events. So
Right.
I would hope it's a similar stance on
Yep.
Wednesdays for non-students.
Right, yes, we would work through those schedules and, Luke would work to make that happen.
So we could have a motion tonight to allow the practices if somebody wants to, right?
So is that so they can go ahead and start their practices and?
yeah, at least try to build a schedule.
Okay, I'll make a motion, I don't know how to really, make a motion to vote to let both of the volleyball and the, what is Colby one?
Sixth
MAYB,
grade
yeah.
basketball.
Yeah, okay, for both of those to start practicing and using the facilities.
At no charge?
At no charge, yeah, sure.
Yeah,
And do we need to discuss tournaments, since Colby specifically mentioned it here?
And that's not until February, right?
Right, you want to put that off then?
Well, yeah, because Chris mentioned to not talk about maybe wait till next month for the tournament.
I just wanna
We
make
can go ahead and
sure.
start the practices without that part, can't we?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, okay,
We can
without
do-
the tournament right now.
Are they
And
still
they'll-
frowning on tournaments? The number?
So they're trying to keep it in the 25% guideline that they're, so like Luke, I don't know if you noticed that even though on some of our tournaments some of our events that have multiple teams, because there's so many people in the gym just based off of teams, they typically have not been allowing fans just because that 25% threshold has already been met. So it just depends on that. Because as far as the CASHA ruling, the board can be more stringent than CASHA, but they can be less stringent than CASHA. So that's how that works.
what would set the conditions of the tournament? In his email, he mentioned that there's a chance that the tournament may not happen.
Right.
Would that be county? I mean, is that case, what does that fall under as far as?
It would be our decision.
Okay.
Unless the government shut us down or something in the future, I suppose that would be different. But as of now, you could, limit it to 2 people per participant if you wanted to, but it's not under CASHA technically. It's just your facilities, and it's MAYB, so it would be different.
With maybe an upper limit on how many people at one time in the gym.
You could.
They had a wrestling tournament, there's some number out there that they went to 112.
Yeah, and we had no fans in our last wrestling
So,
tournament because.
But they had that many participants.
Right, yeah, to make it happen.
They're limited to team participants in certain.
So we have a motion to allow practice. Do you have a second?
Are you gonna say what gymnasium, or are we just gonna say all? I guess in the motion.
Oh, for Colby's,
It's,
is
cause
there a
it's for the
certain,
6th grade girls.
is there a certain gym we should do? I don't.
I mean,
I
Luke,
think they use high school, middle school, but I
I
don't
just
know.
kind of depend on.
yeah, Luke would schedule all that, so
Okay.
I wouldn't be able to say right this second.
And just table the tournament until there'll be lots of questions, so maybe you can kind of hold it together. I wish I had my kid, I'm talking about him, but, he's come and give everybody more answers, because there's a lot to ask about that.
Yep, I can invite Colby next month as well.
I'll second her motion.
it's been moved and seconded to allow, Shawnee Armory Club volleyball and, School Beacon NAYD, sixth grade team to practice using our facilities. All in favor? Say aye. Raise your hand. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Say no.
No.
So it's 3 to 4. Passes. Thursday. Spark funding.
Yes, so the County Spark Committee allotted an additional $80,000 to USD 353 for Spark funding. And so have an MOA in your board packet that needs to be approved in order to accept that money. You've done this once before with a larger amount that we received before. And just need to return that to the proper people so that we get that.
This looks like exactly the same.
Yeah, I think it's exactly the same, just a different amount.
So the funds must be spent by December 30th.
Yes.
Not so far away anymore.
Nope. And Wendy has sent out a spreadsheet of all Spark spending to you. So you should have that, I think she sent that last week or sometime within the last couple of weeks anyway. So you can keep track. That has been really very huge thanks to Wendy and to Stephanie Lawrence, who have been plowing through that together and doing a great job with it.
I move that we approve the additional $8,000 in Spark spending.
Second that.
The move is second to accept the additional $80,000 in Spark money. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And we're gonna use that money to.
Yes, one of the purchases that I'd like to make with that is a Ford Transit. We have bought a few Transits over the last few years. One thing that we have noticed in our transportation of students to activities this year is we are supposed to be social distancing, and that brings problems. So usually we are, getting a vehicle to replace an older vehicle, and in this situation, we are getting a vehicle and keeping the other vehicles because we need, obviously, the process to do that. Kelly has been working on this and has gotten the bids. Kelly, is there anything you want to say about
No,
this?
I mean, you have the bids in front of you. One thing I do want to clarify is that some of the dealerships that you contact are not fleet dealers. We do have a fleet ID, and so you kind of have to look at that and make sure that you get that good discount. I believe it's an 8% discount, which adds up real quickly when you're looking at a $40,000 vehicle. So those are some things that you got to take into consideration. We did visit with Mr. Smith, the athletic director, some of the principals and teachers, and it seemed like Ford Transit was the vehicle of choice amongst the group, because it does have one extra seat in it as well. I know we are socially distancing, however, hopefully that goes away, and then we would be able to fit our students in those vans. But that seems to be the vehicle of choice. Which shows that Ford Transit.
In your bids, there is you should notice that our local dealership, Raver Ford, put in a bid slightly higher than Rusty Eck did. However, Raver Ford, most of that cost is in making sure that is transported and delivered by the end of December, and so that's the extra cost of
One
that.
other thing that we were kind of put in a time crunch as well, and we were guaranteed by Raver Ford that we would have it before December 29th, which was the deadline, we had to have that money spent. So part of that cost is for him to travel somewhere to go pick up the transit and have it here for us.
And you don't have that guarantee with Rusty Eck, Kelly?
We did not. He said that the answer I got from him is he would be able to locate one. However, I don't believe it's figured into the quote or estimate that they give us. So I'm sure that would be an added portion to that. That you see in front of you.
Well, I didn't feel it was that much money anyway, before even knowing about that they were guaranteeing that it was going to be by the 29th, so.
The key is just to make sure it's here by the end of
Yep,
December.
by the end, yep, so,
Right, Jason? Jason and I have talked about this.
Yes.
Everything has to be here by
right,
the
correct.
end of the year.
Yep, the only way that is different is if we have ordered something and the company said it was gonna be here and they have documented they said it's gonna be here and then
It
they,
doesn't show.
they mess up on that, then that would still count.
I feel sorry for Wendy.
Yes, that her and Stephanie Lawrence as well have done an amazing job on this. They've been working hard. So that is our recommendation this evening.
So we do need a vote.
Yes,
Yes, we do.
I'll make a motion, we accept the bid of Raver Ford for the transit van in the amount of $30,834.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded to accept the Raver Ford, bid for the Ford Transit. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I get it straight.
I want to appreciate Kelly for working hard on that.
Yeah. Okay, now, we're gonna open up.
Yes, okay, second semester, COVID mode of operations. Had a planning session last week and discussed this topic. And so a few things in your packet. There is some additional information on mode of operation that just was put in there recently, basically explaining those things that I had discussed last month. We have elementary students, medical recommendation now from both KDHE and from our local medical professionals is for elementary students to either be in hybrid or fully return to school. We've already had our students in hybrid in red, and so on the gating criteria. And so we are interested, based off of that medical knowledge that they've gained first semester, in bringing our elementary students back to school on January 19th. That gives us so the first 2 weeks after we return from Christmas break, elementary would continue to be in hybrid. That gives us 2 weeks of Christmas break for the virus to work through if there were any decisions made over Christmas break that allowed an incubation period to pass. And then Tuesday, January 19th, the day after Martin Luther King Day, we'd like to start elementary full-time. And we would like to keep, based off medical recommendations, continue with our middle school and high school, continuing in hybrid mode up until either medical professionals decide differently or our numbers get better, one of the two. And so I'd like to continue that. I would like to potentially not have to, release that every week like we did first semester when we were trying to keep up, but actually we would continue to watch numbers and work with medical professionals, but just make a statement that we will be in hybrid until we reach a point that we can get back based off of medical knowledge.
So speaking of numbers, have you received any recent numbers?
Not this week. I have the COVID numbers to send you from our district people. I do not have from our medical professionals yet.
Okay.
And that's one thing you guys should know, since we've gotten into red, if you haven't noticed, that has come to you a little bit later because by the time Monday rolls around and it comes out of the weekend, they are usually pretty swamped. And so it's tough to kind of get some of that information, sometimes into Tuesday, Wednesday. So I've been working on that. I know a lot of other districts have discussed doing full remote learning or are in full remote learning. And for our second semester, I would like the option to remote a school based off of, let's say we have an actual outbreak in a school for some reason, or we don't have enough staff because too many people have been quarantined or have gotten sick. And so we need to remote a school for a little while to let that period pass, but I would like to take those options prior to remoting the entire district. And so that is something that I would be discussing with medical professionals as well moving forward. So I think all those things kind of put us on a little more solid ground than where we were before.
The elementary school principals, are they ready for something like this?
Yes. Heck yeah. We're always ready, Larry. Tell us, it's go time, we're ready.
We've been been discussing this, kind of just getting staff's ideas. These guys have done an amazing job of sitting down with teachers and talking to them and really trying to get everybody's heads wrapped around about how this is gonna work.
So what will the start and stop, what will the time?
It'll be set, like, drop-off time?
Yeah, like,
It'll still be 7:50 temperature checked, just like it has been, and 3:40 pickup.
okay, so, and lunch will just be,
Lunch is gonna be in the classrooms. Breakfast and lunch will be in the classrooms, not in the cafeteria, because there's no way we could really socially distance as a group. And if we staggered, our lunch would be like 4 hours long.
yeah, I can see that.
So that'll take place in the classroom. The Spark money has helped a ton with getting us prepared to do this. What people have to know is it's not gonna be perfect. Like, they will not be socially distanced at all times, not happening. We will do our very best in the classrooms to be 6 feet apart. We're gonna have to get super creative and use every space of the building, the hallways, the music rooms, the all-purpose rooms to send groups to. Transition, they're not going to be 6 feet apart. I mean, our lines would be forever long if we did. So they will not be 6 feet apart at all times. The cohorts or small groups
Yes, I need to mention.
are going to be very helpful. So we can have 5 kids or less together in less than 6 feet. That way, if one were to get quarantined or come down with COVID, it would only quarantine that small group rather than your entire class or your whole school.
But what about the teacher?
The teachers are still maintaining 6 feet of social distance from the kids as much as possible.
Even when they're in those cohorts and they're teaching? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you got your 10-minute time frame. So they are getting very creative. That's what we've been working on. Teachers have been getting very creative on how they can keep small groups like together and the teacher can keep moving, whether it's one para that's with a small group or the teacher, it's just, the highly recommended that they stay 6 feet apart. The teachers stay 6 feet apart from the students as much as possible. That way they don't get quarantined. I mean, it's gonna happen. There's gonna be adults getting quarantined. There already are. So covering classes and just getting creative that way, we're gonna have to. But, I mean,
They'll be
we've
in
been
school.
working on schedules for like 2 months trying to
Have you made some physical changes?
Oh, yeah.
Using the Sparks money, right?
Yes.
We've gotten some furniture that allows for more flexible seating to fit kids in cohorts and to keep separated a little bit more.
Like we bought a ton of lap desks. So like our kindergarten, that's all they are using, are lap desks, like no real desks. So it's just like literally a lap desk. So they sit on the floor and these little desks go over the top of them. So they can move, like it's super light. They have their little cup holder for their crowns and pencils and stuff, and then they can work here. So they can always, and little spot like markers, so Velcro that sticks to the carpet, and they're just placed 6 feet apart across the entire room. So if a kid were to go sit on a spot, they're gonna be 6 feet apart from another kid. So things like that. I mean, it's very colorful school.
Where the heck are we storing all the real stuff, like the real
Oh, yeah, we
desks?
sold everything.
It's stacked floor to ceiling in some of our hallways. Our music room is kind of a catch-all. It's a little bit of everywhere.
It's in the garage.
Probably shouldn't have sold McKinley.
We
though.
still have, they still have the one in Kennedy, so you can throw it in there.
Like we bought more marker boards, big marker boards for the hallway, and next to like our music room, so like small group, half a class, whatever, could go out and work in the hallway with marker boards and stuff, manipulatives. So, yeah.
So our goal is to try to stay 6 feet apart
Yes.
as much as possible and then use cohorting whenever needed when that is not possible. Everything that we're talking about, elementary going back, even in the red and the gating criteria, and using cohorting and all these things are specifically coming down from KSD and KDHE. We watched Jason and Pat and our administration staff watched medical professionals across the state talking about this that are some of our top medical people with children in the state, and we're discussing these very things. So this is not something we're just coming up with. This is something that's being passed down through the medical community.
So now our choices for elementary will be full-time or?
Full-time, or if I have to remote a building, yes, correct.
So
I don't see, at this time, don't kill me, but I don't see any need for elementary to go back to hybrid.
No,
I wouldn't see a
can't do all
need,
three.
I wouldn't see a need for that to
No, you
happen.
can't do all three.
Go ahead.
But
So,
Sorry.
are you going to still attempt to try to remote just a class as an
Students who-
option? Because you did like, you did at Kennedy one time with I think kindergarten maybe, or
Yes, so students who are still able to choose remote if they want to and stay remote.
so I'm talking about, like, you were talking about just maybe remoting a certain school. Are you
Oh.
gonna try to remote grades in that school like you've done in the past, or are you just gonna go to the whole school?
For the most part, if we get, because they all cover for each other in crisis situations, so if we get down to it, we would probably end up remoting a school for a
The
couple
whole
weeks.
school.
It's probably what would happen.
Okay.
Just because they cover for each other if it was just classes most of the time.
And families are gonna have an opportunity to move their children to
Yes.
remote if they
Correct.
choose to.
Yes, they will have to decide here pretty quick, whether they want to move to remote, and that was part of our plan from the beginning, so.
that was my question. When do they have to decide?
They'll need to decide by the end of this week, essentially, yeah. So we'll be releasing this tonight after, if the board chooses to go this route, and then we will release that immediately.
So the options at elementary would be remote or in person.
Correct.
That seems pretty quick.
Yeah, that does seem awful quick. I mean, I know you
Don't
need
you
to
think?
know.
Yeah, we gotta get it up and going, so we're,
But,
yeah. And we think that most people who want to do remote are already remote, and so we don't see major changes, but these guys can also reach out to people that they feel might be questionable or anything like that, and get those decisions made pretty quick.
So I agree. I want to see the littler kids, elementary kids get back to school, but so I'm a little curious. We're red right now.
Yes.
And according to the new guidelines, we can be back in face-to-face learning.
Correct.
So what is the number? Is there a number? Is it, we're 20-some% right now, which is red, and they're saying we can go back to school. Great. Let's go back to school. But if we hit 50%, is that too much? Do we turn the?
Yeah. I suppose at some point the government would make a recommendation to shut down or something. You know, I don't know that there is a.
When you say government, you're saying governor?
Yes, governor. I mean at the state level.
State level,
Sorry,
okay.
sorry. I should have been more specific. Yeah, red is red. There's nothing above red, so I would say that yes, even if it's at 50% or whatever, unless there was decisions made above our head like there was in March, then we would be in school and just working on things. Now, if things got so bad in our community that we had to remote buildings and things like that, then that's local decisions that could be made. Okay.
So do we need to vote on this, or?
Yes, I would like to, vote to change our mode of operations to, these recommendations.
So we need a motion.
I make a motion to approve the second semester mode of operation.
A second.
Move in second to accept the proposal to open, what'd you call it, mode of operation for second semester.
I just read the title, second semester mode of operation.
That's that's the name of the document that's Shelby's famous document.
To allow K through 5 to go full-time, or have the choice to get in the classroom. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
5-16. Administrative reports.
Do they have any wisdom over anything besides what you?
I heard report, and I was like, wait a second. So tomorrow at Eisenhower, we will have food trucks and Christmas extravaganza from 5:30 PM to 7:30 PM, weather permitting, and our food trucks show up. So, yeah, it's big.
Can you say those are again? I saw that, but.
They,
Can you tell us what the trucks are gonna be?
yeah,
I
they
read it,
are
but-
Beavis's.
Yeah.
Ken and Barbie's Diner, never had that before, they're from Wichita. Smokin' Diner is barbecue from Wichita and Brown Box Bakery. And hot chocolate and Santa, and we just hung some Christmas lights. And it's supposed to be snowing. I can't paint you a better picture.
Jerry,
5:30 to 7:30.
oh, I'm sorry, can you talk COVID guidelines with that real quick, since that's.
Yes, 6 feet social, everything will be outside. So 6 feet social distancing, masks are required because we're on school property. The hot chocolate will be like prepared with gloves and people will take their phone, nothing will be touched. So, yeah,
So, make
mask,
sure-
and everything we posted says social distancing and masks required.
Yeah,
So,
I just want to make sure everybody knows that
Yep.
we've thought about those things.
yes.
Okay.
Nobody's entering the building.
Okay,
Guess we need executive session for personnel.
yes.
I make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss non-elected personnel that include Adam and the administration team, for 10 minutes. Let's take a short 3-minute break. So we'll be 7:10, the normal meeting, early Zoom at 7:20.
Oh, we need a motion, yeah.
Okay.
I'll second.
We've been moving second, go into executive session for 10 minutes with a 3-minute break. Call in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. 3-minute break.
Are we doing it here or are we going to go?
We'll
to-
go back in there.
Okay.
to approve the consent agenda. So Fred.
Okay, approve the minutes of the November 9th meeting. Approve payroll bills, payroll $1,053,228.56. Bills, $557,939.40. Transfers, at risk, $200,000. Vocational, $50,000. Personnel, approve new hires, Diana Edie, functional para WMS, Jake Allscraft, assistant boys basketball coach WMS, Melissa Russell, para Safe Haven, CJ Carey, assistant boys basketball coach WHS, Harriet Fillmore, para WHS, Sierra Rademacher, para Washington Elementary.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We move to second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Board comments.
I would just like to say that my nay vote was not on going for this elementary to go full-time. Was not thinking that I have full trust in the administration and the teachers, and I know that they will do their best. And that is not why I voted nay.
Thanks, Carol. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes, sir.
Safe Haven,
Yes.
what's that?
Safe
that-
Haven,
is that
Safe
the
Haven,
down
yeah,
south?
South Washington.
That's what it's called?
Yep.
Okay,
And we have staff that works in that building with those students.
okay, so we have a para and a teacher,
Yes, we have a parent that works in there full-time and then teacher,
so this is gonna be a para.
yeah.
Is there only one there, Adam?
One parent, yes, and then we have teachers that come by, and then we have a therapist that swims by.
Okay, there, that's okay. Couldn't remember, I thought there was two.
I read that as South Haven, so. When I
South
that,
Haven?
I thought it was South Haven.
When we were in executive session, how they're working in South Haven. So, I think the music tonight was really nice.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
we did a good
make
job.
sure that they,
It's nice to persevere with the masks and
I
everything.
haven't heard of Wellington Choir, but it's been a long time, and
Yeah.
they did a great job.
Yeah, they did, yeah. Mrs. Alt does a great job. Kids were great.
Yeah.
It's always nice to see those things to remind you why you come do this every day. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Anybody else? Meeting adjourned.
Thank you very much. Merry Christmas.
Merry
Good.
Christmas.
So Shelby, how they do